Support for Donnybrook Last Call is provided in part by Design Air Heating and Cooling.
Welcome to the Last Call. I was just saying that this is my first last call, but actually it's not my first last call. It's the first one on YouTube. Bill and Joe, the presses are going to be stopped at the Post-Dispatch. And as a guy whose dad was a pressman, I know the pride that he took in his work. And it's kind of a sad day when that announcement was made.
Yes, it was. But that story by Hannah Wyman was so good. I mean, it just really got to me how she talked about those men, how much they cared, or they talked about that to her, I should say. They took such pride in their work. And it's just the newspaper industry kind of, falling apart, sailing into the uncertain future. And now, being printed in Columbia means that we're not going to have next day Cardinal scores, next day blue scores. It's a sad day, but Hannah Wyman just did a great job.
Yeah, 72 people lose jobs, 48 full-time. I mean, so first and foremost, for such a dedicated group of people, and a fun group of people. Printers were always a great group of folks to hang around. I remember, the guys with the cigars in their mouth and the folded paper hats, and just ink-stained wretches of true form. It's something romantic about it for people who work in newspapers, and I'm sorry to see that go. And I hope all those who still are of age to keep working, I hope they all find great jobs and they're all happy. And thank you for all you did for us for so many years.
Totally agreed.
Yeah.
And, am I the only one, though, that especially this week, when you think of the printing presses being in Columbia and you think of I-70 and, things can happen and some presses being, some of the newspapers actually being stranded in a snowdrift.
The thing is that we're printed, the St. Louis American, we're in Washington, Missouri.
Right.
My first thought,
No problem.
when I first started the American is, man, there's going to be some Thursdays with it. Never missed a one.
Wow.
Now, I don't know how that
That's
works,
great.
but we have never missed a one.
It's interesting. There have been so many delivery problems for people who are print newspaper subscribers that it would be hard to know, like, did the papers not arrive from Columbia, or is it that my delivery guy couldn't get down my snow-packed side street?
Right.
It really is the final mile that's the hard part, not the conveying it from the highway.
Yeah, that's true.
Exactly. And I will say this, at my first newspaper in Danville, one of the joys that I did when I first started, it's an experience that very few people do. When you write a story and you're able to go down there and get one of the papers right when it comes off the press. Wow.
Yep.
It's a feeling that I'll never forget, especially as a young reporter. So one of our legislators, we're going to have an official zoo animal. Now, we got the Missouri mule and the bears are on the flag and, all that. But, I was thinking that we had to have an official zoo animal. I think it should be the bat. Because we have them in Missouri everywhere. And when you get a bat in your house, how, any other
you
critter,
scream.
you scream, and you're
Loudly.
horrified, but you're not supposed to kill them. And it's one of those things that we don't do them in. You're saying, we got to save the bat. I'm horrified, but we got to save the bat. So I say the bat. What say you, Joe?
I'm gonna go back into old St. Louis history, since it's a zoo animal. Remember back when I was in high school or college, a spitting cobra
Got loose
from the zoo.
Yes.
And the whole neighborhood around the zoo shut down. Everybody was seeing a spitting cobra. They're on the news going, it can shoot poisonous venom 15 feet and it'll blind you and everything. They ended up finding it in the drain. It's still on the zoo property, but people were seeing it in by the arena. They were seeing it in Florence. I think it's up here, and for like 3 days, the city was like, careful of a spitting cobra. So with the lack of anything else, I'll say let's make spitting cobra our zoo animal.
I'd go with the bat on Alvin, just because I remember your story about the bat at your house. There's a little bat hanging down.
God.
And one of your daughters saw it and said, Daddy, what's this? And you took a broom.
I thought it was a cocoon.
And it
went
out there to poke at it. All of a sudden, that'll do it. Raise its head up, and Alvin dropped the broom.
I'm running through the yard screaming with a broom in my hand, and girls are laughing and pointing.
In memory of that, I'll go look at this.
That's fantastic.
Actually, that's one reason I picked the bat, because I'll never forget that
That's
experience.
fantastic. I'll take Kathleen Madigan has we're going to talk about Nikki Glaser in just a moment. It's an embarrassment of riches when it comes to female comics these days. But Kathleen Madigan, if you've ever heard her talk about noodling with the catfish.
Yeah.
I mean, let's just lean into this whole SEC thing that we've got going on right now. And we're just going to be, we'll be the catfish. I mean, because that's, they stick their arms in these holes in the river and pull out these kids. Like a little too rustic for this girl, but
Okay,
I thought it was funny.
I'm going to top this. I'm going to go deeper down into the mud of Missouri rivers. I'm going to say the hellbender. Now, there's two things that people know about the hellbenders. They're also called snot otters. They're these little salamanders that live in Missouri streams. One is that they are not good looking. Well, that is true of most Missourians, let's be honest. Look in the mirror here.
Present company.
I mean,
Other than you fine people.
right.
But,
our modeling contracts
we're not
just
a good-looking
expired.
people. This is something that we all know about ourselves. And then second of all is they were so badly endangered. They were almost to the brink, and they battled their way back. And could that not be like a nice inspiration
I
for
love
us?
that.
We too can come back.
I love
I
that.
like that too. The other truism about it is if you've been a reporter in St. Louis at a St. Louis newspaper for any length of time, you have written a hellbender story. I know when they would look around the room when I was new and they go, "Who's the new guy?" Holleman. Holleman, I got a story for you. And it was a Save the Hellbender campaign.
Well, going along with the Hellbenders and Wendy's idea about the SEC, how about crawdaddies?
Yes.
I remember reading a story that in Missouri we had some people get sick because apparently they were eating raw crawdads, and somebody at the CDC, which is in Georgia, said, "What's wrong with you people in Missouri?"
When Georgia calls you out, you know things are bad, right?
Really.
Yeah.
I will say before we move on to Nikki Glaser, I'll say that when I was a kid, people in Forest Park used to have when they undo umbrellas and sink them and pull up and eat they'd cook them, I guess.
Well,
But they did that
Have
at
a
the
boil.
zoo.
Yeah,
All right,
boil.
So our own Nikki Glaser, Kirkwood High School graduate, going into the Kirkwood Hall of Fame with yours truly. I'm going to keep saying that as I'm But apparently she did a tremendous job on the Golden Globes last Sunday, so she made us all proud, Wendy.
This was such a triumph. I'm not kidding. I mean, this was whatever the baseball equivalent is of the World Series and a grand salami home run, whatever. This is the toughest room in showbiz, seriously. And they have a history of snark to the nth degree. And sometimes it makes you squirm. And I've seen Nikki Glaser. I think she has just rapidly, just climbed up that comedy ladder, which is the most difficult thing in the world to do. Some of her stuff I've seen that has made me kind of squirm myself. So I was a little nervous and I thought, oh my God, our whole reputation is on the line. She killed it. She absolutely killed it. Her jokes were flawless. They were just biting enough to make it interesting without being cruel. I have never been prouder of just our stature. And when you talk about the Kathleen Madigans, or when you talk about Cedric the Entertainer, or we've got a lot to be proud of here, and she has finally officially arrived.
She has arrived, and I think her move to St. Louis has been so good for her. She is such a smart person and was doing really well prior to the pandemic. But when everything got shut down, she moved back to her parents' house and then later decided, you know what, I'm going to stay. I'm going to get this condo in the Central West End. I'm going to put down roots here. I think it's been great for her career. It gives her a little bit of an outsider's perspective.
Right.
And she was always so smart and so funny and just the nicest person. And so it's so exciting to see it happen for her.
It really is. Now, you guys were, I guess, watching football.
I don't watch award shows
I
at
know.
all. I never
I know.
have. I don't like them.
A little too self-congratulatory.
The worst part of when I was a film critic for about 5 years at the Post, I had to watch the Academy Awards. I loathe award shows. I just, no matter what they are, I don't care what the award is you're giving. Good luck, congratulations. I'll read who won tomorrow. Take 5 minutes of my time.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
didn't watch it because of that, not because
Right.
of Nikki Glaser.
And I will follow up before we get out, Joe, and say this. I know exactly when I stopped watching them. When Dancing with Wolves beat Goodfellas for Best Picture in the 90s, I said, I'm done. I'm never watching another award show. And I have never watched another award show. But hey, thank you for watching us on YouTube. Watch us on 9PBS next week on our regular format at Donnybrook, and then jump back over here on YouTube. I'm hearing we're really popular over here. We're having a good time. Join us next week.